Hi, welcome. This is a screencast for the first milestone of the project for CSE 591 Devops course at North Carolina State University. Uh, we are a team of three people: Rohan Chakravarti, Sagar Muchal, and Vinay Suryadevara, and this is part of our requirement for the milestone one. So, looking at the requirement for milestone one, we are required to configure a build server to perform certain requirements, such as be able to build a project and perform a few notification events such as sending a mail, and also be able to manage different branches in the repository. So in order to do this, we have selected the tool Jenkins, since it is already pretty developed and it also has a very interactive GUI. So in order to do this, we have also built a project using Maven. It is a pretty basic project in Maven, since we only need to demonstrate the functionality of the build server. And we right now we have also used Git to clone into the repository. So looking at the first requirement of the milestone, the build server must be able to trigger a build in response to a git commit via a git hook. So before we do this, let us take a look at, so we have written two different jobs, one for master branch and one for dev branch. Let us take a look at the configuration of the master branch. So this is a configuration in the Jenkins which we have written in order to get the build working. So a few important essential steps are that in order we have installed the Git plugin in order to for Git to function properly, and so we have given it the Git repository and we have given it the required credentials. Apart from that, we've also installed the email plugin so that we could send the email based on success or failure of the event. So these are some of the configurations which we have done in Jenkins. In order now for the moving to the first requirement, the ability to trigger a build in response to a git commit via git hook. So currently I am in the master branch of our repository, and the git server is up to date. Now assuming I create a file, touch test, and if you look at the git status, so we add this file, and now we do a git commit. So now once we do a commit, we need to push this code to the remote repository, and then a build is triggered from the remote repository. So now we push. So if you take a look at the remote repository, so we have just added this file, and if we take a look in our Jenkins, in the build history, there is a build which has been just triggered here in response to this event. So the way in which we have done this is through the use of webhooks in Git. So we've created a webhook in which we've configured it such that a payload is sent to the particular payload of this request is sent to the particular Jenkins endpoint. This is the way we have configured the webhook so that whenever there is a push to the master branch, there is a build triggered. So if we look at Jenkins, and so now we can see that the build is stable. This satisfies the first requirement of the project, the ability to trigger a build. So we have triggered a build. Once we have done a commit, we've done a push, and in response to this push, we've used webhooks to trigger a build in Jenkins. So looking at the next requirement of the milestone, the ability to execute a build job via script or build managers, we have used Maven for this. And if you look at the console output for this file, we see that the Maven runs the project and also runs the tests in order to see that all the particular cases have been satisfied. So the build manager we've used in this case is Maven. We've built this project using Maven, and we're able to configure it in Jenkins and able to see that all the tests are being run. So that satisfies the second requirement of the milestone. The third requirement is the ability to determine failure or success of a build job, and as a result trigger an external event. So Jenkins has this capability that it shows us the status wherein this is stable or unstable. So these are all stable builds which are success, and we have also had a couple of broken builds. So it shows the status, and also if we have to look at the notification for this, we have configured it to send an email once a build is done. So if we take a look at so it has just done a build, and if we take a look at the mail, it has just sent us a mail for build 27, which is also the number for the latest build. So once this build has been successful, we've received a notification. We have also similarly placed triggers for failure as well. So this completes the requirement for the ability to determine failure or success, and also to result a trigger, and to trigger an external event. Sorry. So the next requirement for the project is the ability to have multiple jobs corresponding to multiple branches in a repository. So if we take a look at our project structure, we currently have two jobs. One is for the master branch and one is for the dev branch. So let me quickly just go ahead and move on to the dev branch. Good, check out dev. So now we are at the dev branch. If we check the status of Git, we are currently up to date. So if I add a file test, and if we take a look at the status, so this file has not been added. So I've added it, and then git commit -m added test, and once we do a push, so it has pushed these events to the Git. And so if we take a look at the build history for if we take the build history for this, there's a build which is currently going on. See, as we can see here, the build is currently in progress. As you can see in it shows the dev number 3, and it has been triggered now. And we can also see in the repository, if we move on to the dev branch, these commits have been pushed here, and once these commits have been pushed, a separate build for the dev branch has been generated here. Similarly, we can configure other jobs for different branches as well. So this satisfies the requirement for this, wherein it has been mentioned that a commit to a branch release will trigger a release build job. So a commit to a branch dev has triggered a dev build job. And if we look at it, like so it has been successfully built for the dev branch. So the last requirement for this milestone is the ability to track and display a history of past builds. Jenkins already has this requirement built into it, wherein we can see that all these builds we've been triggering them previously. So we can look at all the stable builds which we've triggered previously, and also where the builds have been broken, and the output, and all the other requirements for this. So Jenkins gives us a pretty detailed explanation of how all the builds and build history, and how they've progressed over time. So this and since it's a web UI, we can do this over HTTP. So this completes the requirements for the milestone. We will be submitting the configuration file for Jenkins separately, but this screencast essentially outlines all the steps and all the requirements in the milestone. Thank you.